If your retirement plan is built on one sentence, "I can just take 4% a year," you may be gambling with your future and not even know it. Because here in 2026, one respected camp says a conservative safe starting rate is closer to 3.9%. And the man who created the rule says updated research can support something more like 4.7%. So which one is right? That is exactly the problem. People keep treating the 4% rule like it is a law of nature. It is not. It is a guideline built on assumptions. And if your assumptions are wrong, your retirement income plan can crack fast. Let's bust the myth clearly. The myth is that 4% is the magic number for everyone, that if you have $1 million, you can safely pull $40,000 in year one, raise it for inflation every year, and relax. That idea is simple, it is catchy, and it is one of the most over-trusted rules in retirement. But in 2026, the smarter message is this: there is no universal safe withdrawal rate. There is only a rate that may or may not fit your portfolio, your timeline, your flexibility, and the market conditions you retire into. Here is where the confusion starts. Back in 1994, financial planner Bill Bengen published the research that made the 4% rule famous. The framework was straightforward. Withdraw 4% in the first year of retirement, then adjust that dollar amount for inflation each year, and historically, the portfolio held up across difficult market periods. That is why the rule spread everywhere. It gave retirees one clean number to anchor to. But a clean number is not the same thing as a complete plan. Now fast forward to today. Morningstar's retirement income research published February 18, 2026, says a conservative starting withdrawal rate is 3.9%. That estimate assumes a balanced portfolio, fixed inflation-adjusted withdrawals over a 30-year retirement, and a 90% probability of success. Think about what that means. On a $1 million portfolio, 3.9% is $39,000 in year one, not $40,000. That is not a dramatic difference in conversation, but over time, that gap can matter, especially when inflation keeps forcing withdrawals higher. Now here is the twist. The creator of the original rule is not even locked to 4% anymore. Coverage of Bill Bengen's updated work says he now sees the worst-case safe starting point closer to 4.7%, based on broader diversification than his original study. So one side says 3.9, another says 4.7, and retirees watching from home think, okay, so what am I supposed to do with that? The answer is not to pick your favorite expert and hope. The answer is to stop pretending one number can solve a retirement that may last 30 years, 35 years, or more. Because the 4% rule was never really the point. The assumptions behind it are the point. What kind of portfolio do you own? How much stock exposure do you have? How much bond exposure? How flexible is your spending? Are you willing to tighten up in bad markets? What happens if inflation stays sticky? What happens if you retire into a bear market? What if you or your spouse lives much longer than expected? Those questions matter more than memorizing a slogan. This is why I say the 4% rule is not dead, but treating it like law absolutely should be. Because once retirees hear a simple rule, many stop doing deeper planning. They anchor on the percentage and ignore the chain reactions. Taxes, Medicare surcharges, required minimum distributions, sequence risk, spending shocks, widowhood, long-term care, market valuations at the exact moment they retire. A withdrawal strategy that ignores those issues is not a strategy. It is a shortcut. Let me show you how dangerous blind trust can be. Say two retirees each have $1 million. Both decide to use 4%. Both start at $40,000 per year. On paper, they look identical. But retiree number one has flexible spending, low debt, healthy cash reserves, and a portfolio they can rebalance intelligently. If markets get ugly, they can pause inflation increases or spend a little less. Retiree number two has higher fixed expenses, no real cash buffer, larger tax exposure, and a habit of withdrawing the same amount no matter what markets do. If stocks fall early, they may be forced to sell more shares while the portfolio is down. Same rule, very different risk. That is why the slogan misleads people. It hides the human part of retirement. And Morningstar's own work makes this point. Their research does not just stop at a fixed dollar rule. They also discuss more flexible systems, guardrails, RMD-style withdrawals, dynamic spending methods like the Vanguard approach, methods that allow spending to adjust when reality changes. That matters because retirement is not static. Markets move, inflation moves, your health changes, your goals change, your family changes. The plan has to breathe. Now, I want to be very clear. This is not an argument that everyone should spend less forever. And it is not an argument that Bengen is wrong and Morningstar is right, or vice versa. It is an argument against lazy planning. Because if one credible framework says 3.9% and another updated framework says 4.7%, that should tell you something important. The safe number depends on the structure underneath it. And if it depends on the structure underneath it, then your job is not to memorize the number. Your job is to understand the structure. Here are the 4 mistakes retirees make when they misuse the 4% rule. Number 1. They confuse a starting point with a guarantee. A withdrawal rule is not a promise from the market. It is a planning tool. Number 2. They ignore sequence of returns risk. If retirement starts with a major downturn, selling into losses early can permanently damage the portfolio. That is one of the fastest ways a safe rule stops feeling safe. Number 3. They ignore taxes and Medicare. A gross withdrawal amount is not the same as net spendable income. If you pull money from the wrong account at the wrong time, the lifestyle math can look much worse than expected. And number 4, they assume their spending will stay perfectly smooth. Real life does not work that way. Travel years, healthcare years, helping adult kids, caring for a spouse, replacing a roof. Retirement cash flow is lumpy. So, what should smart retirees do in 2026 instead? First, stop asking only, "What percentage can I withdraw?" Start asking, "What withdrawal system fits my actual life?" Second, test more than one market scenario. Do not only look at average returns. Stress test bad timing, higher inflation, and longer lifespans. Third, build flexibility into the plan. A retiree who can make small adjustments during bad years is in a stronger position than someone locked into rigid spending. Fourth, coordinate taxes with withdrawals. If your plan says one amount, but the IRS and Medicare rules quietly punish how you pull it, your spending plan is incomplete. And fifth, revisit the plan regularly. Not every 10 years. Regularly. Retirement is not something you set once and forget. Here is the bottom line. The most dangerous part of the 4% rule is not the number itself. It is the false confidence it creates. In 2026, respected research still does not point to one permanent answer. Morningstar's latest estimate is 3.9% under a conservative, fixed withdrawal framework. Bill Bengen's updated work argues the number can be closer to 4.7% under a broader diversified approach. That does not mean retirement planning is broken. It means retirement planning is personal. The winning move is not to worship 4%. The winning move is to build a withdrawal strategy that accounts for markets, taxes, healthcare, inflation, and how much flexibility your household actually has. Because retirement does not fail when people use the wrong buzzword, it fails when they use a simple rule in a complicated life. If you want help stress testing your withdrawal strategy, taxes, and retirement income plan, we offer a free 15-minute strategy session. The link is in the description. And if you want more plain English retirement breakdowns with real numbers instead of recycled rules, subscribe. We cover the tax, Medicare, and income planning traps most retirees do not see until the damage is already done.